All right, so on this part, we're still in the coming of Beowulf, but what I've done is I have skipped a pretty good bit. I skipped the part where Beowulf and his men are sailing across the sea, and what I've done is I've just skipped straight to the part where they've actually arrived at Herot and they're getting ready to go see King Hrothgar. So as Beowulf goes to see King Hrothgar and he introduces himself and talks a little bit about the battle with Grendel that he is expecting, continue to pay attention to those characteristics of an epic hero that we've been watching for.
Beowulf and his men arrive at Herot and are about to be escorted in to see King Hrothgar. Beowulf arose with his men around him, ordering a few to remain with their weapons, leaving the others quickly along under Herot's sneaking into Hrothgar's presence. Standing on that prince's own hearth, helmeted, the silvery metal of his mail shirt gleaming with a smith's high art, he greeted the Dane's great lord.
All right, looking at just this very small section, I want to point out one of our characteristics that we can use to prove that Beowulf is an epic hero. It says that he ordered a few of his men to remain with their weapons and he led the others to Herot. All right, so this shows which of the characteristics. Think about this, and I want you to figure out which one this is on your own. He ordered a few of his men to remain with their weapons. And think about, why would he do that? Because if they just left all of their stuff, someone could ransack it, and then they don't have anything. But he's still leading the others to King Hrothgar. So think of which of those four characteristics of an epic hero can this textual evidence help support. So you can pause the video and go add that, or if you just want to add it later, but you need to make sure you add that evidence somewhere. All right, on this next part, I want you to notice this part right here. It says, he greeted the Dane's great lord, and then you've got that colon there. So this next portion will be Beowulf speaking. So the next portion that we're going to be reading is Beowulf speaking. We know that because it says he greeted the Dane's great lord. So as you read this next part, you have to consider the fact that this is Beowulf talking.
Hail, Hrothgar! Hygelac is my cousin and my king. The days of my youth have been filled with glory. Now Grendel's name has echoed in our land. Sailors have brought us stories of Herod, best of all mead halls, deserted and useless. When the moon hangs in skies the sun had lit, light and life fleeing together. My people have said, the wisest, most knowing and best of them, that my duty was to go to the Danes' great king. They have seen my strength for themselves, have watched me rise from the darkness of war, dripping with my enemy's blood. I drove 5 great giants into chains, chased all of that race from the earth. I swam in the blackness of night, hunting monsters out of the ocean and killing them one by one. Death was my errand, and the fate they had earned.
All right, so let's look at this first portion of what Beowulf says to King Hrothgar. All right, he says, Hygelac is my cousin and my king. So what does this tell you about Beowulf? If the king, he says, is his cousin. Now, cousin was just a term that they would use for family. So Hygelac is his king, but that's also his family. So that shows you that he's very important. All right. So let's go down a little bit further. All right, so let's go down and let's look at, he says they have seen my strength for themselves. I mean, we've got the word strength there, so that should show us what kind of information we're about to get. It says that he drove 5 giants into chains, chased all of that race from the earth. He was hunting monsters. He killed them one by one. So all of this right here shows which of the characteristics, and I want you to figure that one out on your own. He drove 5 great giants into chains. He chased all of that race from the earth. He hunted monsters out of the ocean. He killed them one by one. And you can even look at the part where he says that he chased that entire race from the earth. No, it says it somewhere. So what I want you to do is, I've given you some details here, but I want you to determine which of the characteristics of an epic hero this textual evidence can support. And once you've decided that, go back to your graphic organizer, add some of these details into your graphic organizer.
Now Grendel and I are called together, and I've come. Grant me then, Lord and protector of this noble place, a single request. I have come so far, O shelterer of warriors, and your people's loved friend, that this one favor you should not refuse me, that I, alone, and with the help of my men, may purge all evil from this hall. I have heard, too, that the monster's scorn of men is so great that he needs no weapons, and fears none. Nor will I. My lord Higelac might think less of me if I let my sword go where my feet were afraid. If I hid behind some broad linden shield, my hands alone shall fight for me, struggle for life against the monster. God must decide who will be given to death's cold grip. Grendel's plan, I think, will be what it has been before, to invade this hall and gorge his belly with our bodies. If he can. If he can. And I think if my time will have come, there'll be nothing to mourn over, no corpse to prepare for its grave. Grendel will carry our bloody flesh to the moors, crunch on our bones, and smear torn scraps of our skin on the walls of his den. No, I expect no Danes will fret about sewing our shrouds, if he wins. And if death does take me, send the hammered mail of my armor to Higelac. Return the inheritance I had from Hrethel, and he from Wayland. Fate will unwind as it must.
On this last portion of what we've read of the coming of Beowulf, I'm going to point out a few pieces of evidence that I know are important. And I want you to determine where you're going to put that evidence in your graphic organizer that helps prove that Beowulf is an epic hero. All right, so the first detail that I'm going to point out is he says, and I've come. And then down here he says, and I've come so far. So of those two details of him saying, I've come so far, which of the characteristics of an epic hero can that support? So you can put that in your graphic organizer. All right, so let's look at some more. All right, he says right here, I have heard, too, that the monster's scorn of men is so great that he needs no weapons and fears none, nor will I. And then a little bit further down, you can look where he says that he doesn't want to hide behind some broad linden shield. So these two details, he's saying that he's going to fight with no weapons or armor. All right? So no weapons or armor. What do you think that proves? Which of those characteristics of an epic hero can you use this evidence to prove? All right, you can even add this to that same evidence. My hands alone shall fight for me. So you can add all of that together. All right, now let's move down a little bit further. All right, this part right here, he says, God must decide who will be given to death's cold grip. All right, and then down a little bit further, and this kind of goes together, he says, if my time will have come, there will be nothing to mourn over, no corpse prepared. And then he just says, Grendel will carry our bloody flesh to his moors. So You can definitely paraphrase that. But what is he saying? That he's willing to die, right? He's willing to die as he fights Grendel. So if he's willing to die, what do you think that helps prove about him being an epic hero? All right, so you have a lot of information from this portion. You really have a lot of evidence to prove that Beowulf is an epic hero. I've given you a lot of evidence, but you also can go back through and you can find evidence for yourself as well. You may have picked up a few things that maybe I didn't pick up or I didn't point out. So go to your graphic organizer. Go to your graphic organizer and fill in any details that you have found. Try to have at least 2 or 3 per characteristic. So go to your notebook, work on that.